Hi everyone, I'm Marie Montus from Natural Power, a consultancy agency working in renewable energy. Today I would like to present you a project where we investigate the capacity of a trying survey methodology involving eDNA. So first of all, the goal of this project is to validate the survey methodology involving eDNA and to compare it with a more traditional methodology involving trolls. The method for this survey is in the first place to use a sample methodology involving the traditional trolling surveys and to compare it with the sampling eDNA methodology. And the goal of this study is to demonstrate that eDNA allows to reduce development costs, also to minimize the environment impact of survey at sea surveys, and to provide robust data set for environmental impact assessment, for example. So who are the various stakeholders of this project? It's a project which has been led by OWGP and three partners. So first, Natural Power doing the field work and as well as the analysis and reporting about the various results. We work closely with Naturmetrics, who is present here today and is a consultant working in eDNA, doing all the developing the methodology, having the data reporting and analyzing, raw data analyzing competencies. Also working with EDF, who is the project owner of the project we've been working on and trying this methodology. So what is exactly eDNA? So environmental DNA is the fact that in an aquatic environment you will have the presence, you will be able to highlight the presence of various species thanks to various sources such as mucus, feces, also various cells like scales, for example, from fish. It's captured in water and also in sediment. So basically you would grab samples in the water, filter it, extract the DNA, you would amplify the DNA that you found in your samples and then compare it to your database to highlight what kind of species are present or not. So the general principle of this study is, as I said, to compare the traditional methodology with the eDNA. So the first part was to do troll surveys. So trolling is basically putting the troll in water, pull it for a certain distance, and then grab the various species that are sampled, identify them, and then put them back in the water. With eDNA, it's much simpler, as you just have to grab water in a Niskin bottle, for example, and you will then filter it and extract the DNA. And as I said, in the lab, you would be able to amplify it and then to compare it to your, I would say, eDNA library. So what we already know is that thanks to trolling surveys, you would be able to have parameters such as length of species, as well as abundance, so number of individuals you would have in the area. But it's very time consuming. It involves a lot of equipment, some kind of expertise as well. It has an environmental cost because, of course, trolling surveys sometimes damages some individuals, even though you put them back in water. And there is quite important HAC risk. With eDNA, it's much quicker, obviously. everybody can grab a bottle of water and then do the process of filtering and send it to the lab. There is no particular training needed except how to sample the water. It has a reduced environmental cost and a low HAC risk, but obviously you won't have access to abundance data, neither size or sex ratio, for example. And it depends on a strong and robust database to be able to highlight which species you will identify. So the method of this survey, so it happens in Blyth, in northeast of England. For each troll's samples, you would have as well 2 samples of eDNA, one at the beginning of the troll's sample and one at the end. And it has been done 4 times a year, and the goal is to highlight which kind of species in terms of fish and vertebrate as well. So as you can see, there was samples outside the wind farm, but as well as inside, because with the eDNA you can get closer to the turbines, which you can't with obviously traditional surveys such as trolls for safety reasons. So the study is still ongoing, so those are preliminary results. But already what we can highlight is that with the traditional survey with trolls, we highlighted that 19 fish species have been noticed in the area and 10 microinvertebrates, while with the eDNA, much more species have been noticed, 48 of fish and 33 of invertebrates. There is still a common point, which is quite reassuring, because obviously in winter, most of the species are haddocks. There is a majority of haddock. And for invertebrate, Nephropidae have been the most highlighted in terms of presence. With the eDNA, we managed, as I said, to have a wider set of results because we don't target only fish. You target as well, you can highlight marine mammals and seabirds. And with eDNA, you can also catch tinier species, which with the trolls you won't get. So, something is interesting is with eDNA, as with trolls, there is a difference in kind of diversity in between near the shore and offshore. So both techniques have been able to conclude that there was variation in terms of species. And also another very exciting result is that near the turbines, eDNA have managed to highlight variation as well in terms of diversity, and with more cod and haddocks, which was already anticipated in the environmental impact assessment. So it allows us to see that the reef effect could be as well spotted with eDNA. For spring results, it's roughly the same conclusion because you can catch obviously more species thanks to eDNA, with 45 fish compared to 13 for the trolling surveys. As well, there is marine mammals spotted, seabirds, and more macroinvertebrates. And for both techniques, the conclusion is that there is a lot of flatfish arriving in winter, in spring. So the trends that we can highlight of the preliminary result that we have in this study is that it's pretty reassuring because the data we've obtained through trolling survey and eDNA are consistent with the previous data we've been working on for 10 years for this project. it shows this roughly same conclusion in terms of seasonal variations as well as geographical variation. But as we expected, there is more species spotted thanks to eDNA. And it allows as well a wider set of results in terms of species. Thanks to eDNA, you can catch marine mammals, seabirds, also sometimes other kind of species. And it's very interesting to see that thanks to this technique, you can approach closer the wind turbines during the operational phase and follow up and monitor your reef effect. So now, why choosing eDNA? There is obviously some benefits and some inconvenience of the technique. It's easy to implement. It's quite cheap. You can use it as an opportunistic methodology with, for example, maintenance vessels, or even in a collaborative program, maybe with sailors and things like this. You can follow up monitor your reef effect, and you can monitor a wider, more species basically than with the traditional surveys methodology. Also, you can highlight some spawning and migrating phenomena thanks to the eDNA. But it's important to consider that this is still early stage, so to keep in mind some inconvenience, such as I said, so far eDNA gives you a relative result in terms of diversity. It doesn't give you how many individuals of this species you have in the area, even though I've understood from the discussion with Naturmetrics, that there is some investigations about using reed counts to evaluate abundance of each species. You can't have the age and the size of specimen. Then you have to have a robust and consistent database of DNA, existing DNA, because without that you won't be able to identify many species. So it's something you need to keep on updating. Also, eDNA can travel, even though it's not, it's a bias that is existing. eDNA survives in the water roughly 24 hours, so you won't catch a species from, I don't know, Antarctica in the channel, but still it's something to take into consideration. And I put that in the inconvenience, but for me it's more an opportunity. There is a lack of standardization right now because it's a new technique, so there is still the possibility to work with various stakeholders such as experts and state services to implement this new methodology as a complementary survey method rather than something instead of, and work with other techniques such as submarine camera or also acoustic and things like this to categorize the population, the fish population. Thank you for listening.